Apple produces the best laptops in the world. They're the fastest laptops you can buy, even those big, thick PC ones. I mean, they may have the grunt, but just the integration of the M1 architecture and also the OS X, the operating system that Apple has, you can't compete with it. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're all staying safe and, excited for obviously the Apple event that's just happened some time ago. Now, I wasn't able to get there straight away, but, we'll see how it goes. It was an amazing event. We're just going to basically be skipping over all of the cool Apple cinematic stuff and going right into the juicy bits, which is the M1 Pro. Not sure how I think about that kind of name. And the M1 Max, and just the general thoughts on what it is. I actually talked to my friend Mario today, who works at Apple, and he was telling me about how this laptop is really just for the top 10% of people, not necessarily top 10, but for 10% of the general population. I would say it's even for 1%, because people like myself don't really need such a high performance machine on the go. The M1 is just fine, but yeah, we'll get into it. I guess my general thoughts are awesome new design. It doesn't look as good as the old designs, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how you guys think about that, but I really don't see the design as something that's improved. Even, I mean, the notch, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, we'll just go into it. It is definitely a breakthrough. That's the thing. It's a giant leap ahead in terms of processing power, conserving the battery life, just general usability of a laptop. I didn't pick up on it straight away. I waited for all the programs and software to be compatible. But now in 2021, that's why I sort of say on these videos why it's actually such a good investment even now. I'll get into it. We obviously see the prices on the M1 Pros are pretty much double the M1. So, what I've been saying on the last videos is definitely holding true to some extent. It's an amazing machine. It doesn't have any problems. It's fine. So yeah, good one, Tim Cook, man. Tim too.
Our Pro users rely on the Mac, and the one they choose most is the MacBook Pro. They choose it to develop.
I mean, they're pretty corny, It's part of the whole experience, I guess. But, sometimes you just feel like Apple just need to cut the shit. And I think Steve Jobs, if he was around, rest in peace, he would definitely have cut all the BS out of the next, all the products that succeeded him after his passing. Yeah, that's a big thing of Apple. Come on, let's move away from the cosmetic and just the fanciness of all these machines. Make it practical, make it nice and light and look good. But, we need to get past all of that. I guess we'll have to see the benchmarks and the real world, tests. I mean, benchmarks are one thing. I think I've seen one Geekbench, and it didn't seem like it was too much higher than the M1. It all looks really nice, but realistically, we got to see how the performance handles, applications like Premiere Pro or live streaming applications like OBS and intensive 3D applications. We'll see how that all turns out. But yeah, I mean, these guys have done a really amazing job. I mean, like the whole ARM architecture has just blown away the PC world. I mean, why didn't Intel come up with an ARM chip? It just doesn't make sense. Apple produces the best laptops in the world. They're the fastest laptops you can buy, even those big, thick PC ones. I mean, they may have the grunt, but just the integration of the M1 architecture and also the OS X, the operating system that Apple has, you can't compete with it, right? So they're saying that the biggest high-end PC, there's a faster high-end PC, but it's just super bulky, uses a lot of power, and just doesn't look as good, I guess, and doesn't integrate as well and everything. But that's interesting that they put the PC above them on the graph. Good on you, Apple. The chip, cool. Chip M1 was already amazing. We know that. M1X, M1 Pro, M1 Max. Yeah, I think they've just kind of unlocked the potential after testing out the M1. It seemed like, they're like, okay, we know how to make this. Let's just push it further and put it out to production. It's probably why it took them so long. I mean, yeah, COVID and everything, but I don't really buy into that. I think it's more about they decide to really go as hard and as far as they could. And if they're almost competing with the fastest PC laptops that are like fat notebooks, fat books as you call them, you know, with like terrible battery life and you know, kind of just really poorly integrated with Windows, and the integration with everything is just not as good as an Apple computer, then if they're sort of coming out fairly equal, just under the performance power, then that's substantially quite an achievement, quite a substantial achievement for sure. Yeah. So yeah, in the chat, Cheik said that they did a great job, but I think that more YouTubers educate people buying and telling them with the 16 gigabyte and 512 SSD, you can run anything music-wise. Yeah, for sure. Like you can with music. Realistically, I think the base model you'll be fine. You know what I mean? I mean, I think it'll be good to have the 16 gig, of course, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's very important to just understand which machines work and which ones work for you, and not to spend if you don't need to spend. I've been a victim of that. You know, latest thing comes out, latest camera comes out, whatever lens, I need to go and get it. You know, you end up just maybe not using it as much, and you end up using an old secondhand lens, or you know, like just doing different things with your technology and equipment that you thought wasn't possible. So yeah, it's I think the 16 gigabyte 512 SSD 14-inch is a good buy, but that's about 3,000 Australian dollars. So that's not cheap. Whereas the M1 MacBook Pro, I picked it up for about $1,700. It was obviously a 256 gigabyte SSD and 8 gigabyte RAM, but this thing rocks. It flies. I can do music. I can do video editing, 4K, even some light color grading effects and all that kind of stuff. It's such a capable machine. So yeah, appreciate the comments. Anyone who's watching, please just like the video. It just helps tell other people that we're here. Yeah, I'm just doing a little live stream and checking out the event. Didn't get to check it out this morning, but appreciate you guys for tuning in, and hope you're staying safe wherever you are. Ew!
This
Yuck!
is the all-new, completely redesigned MacBook Pro.
Oh,
and it comes in two sizes.
a
16-inch model.
No, I'm sorry. It doesn't look good. I'm going to say it. It looks terrible. It doesn't look good. The notch? The body? You're stuffed up. I'm sorry, Steve Jobs. Hope you're sleeping well up there. You're stuffed up. Steve Jobs around, he'd make it better. This design was good. You worked it out to an extent. I mean, the 2015s looked the best, in my opinion. They did well with the 2016, but it's a fail for me on the design. Well, the aesthetic. I think the design's good, you know, high quality stuff, but the aesthetic, I don't know if that's anything different, but yeah. Did you see those feet? They're quite high off the ground. I think something to do with heat. Now, I think it looks cool. You know, I like matte black, and I mean, I wear black all the time. You know, the space is always kind of quite subtle with its color tones. But when you're typing, it's good to have sort of a brighter interface. That's why I got the silver MacBook M1, because the black keys on the silver body, I really feel like it just allows you to just sort of like when you glance down at your keyboard. I mean, I can touch type, but it's more about like when you just glance down, you can just see the keys a bit better. When you've got black on black and the notch, I mean, it's sort of like, it looks like a Windows PC, and that's cool. It is cool. I'm not like saying it doesn't look cool, but is it functional? And Apple's all about functionality over the style, in a sense. Like they always had it was kind of daggy. It had a daggy style. It wasn't that cool. Apple sometimes, it came out with products that looked kind of a bit not as cool as the Windows or the PC equivalents, right? But yeah, I think that they're just going a bit far here. It doesn't
and an
look
SD card
right.
slot enabling fast access to media. On the other side, the headphone jack.
Okay, on it, like, let's just play devil's advocate here. We need, you know, just like a screen that's fully just screen. But you know what bezels actually do? Just like with photos, they frame up what you're looking at. So when you have a photograph, just like how we have this little box with me in it here, right? If I pushed it all the way to the side here, it kind of doesn't feel as right. I feel like it feels, you know, you need a bit of padding, you know what I mean? Like padding in anything. Padding for when you deliver a mail in the mailbox, right? You need padding. You can put it right to the end and use up all the space in the box and make sure you get your money's worth. But realistically, you need padding, you need spacing to provide a buffer, a visual buffer to what you're looking at, especially on a screen. I think that having a bezel, I don't mind it. So look, it is good. This still has a bezel. That's fine. I think it's probably just about there, but I wouldn't want to go any further. And remember the rumors? They said they'd go all the way to the edge. That would have been pretty cool, but yeah, I don't know how good it is for usability.
We also expanded the display up and around the camera, making the top border 60% thinner.
That's
giving you even more screen real estate. And macOS takes full advantage.
They really stuffed up here. I was on the phone to my mate, right, Mario, and I said, yeah, I guess it makes sense because you'll get a little bit more real estate, but you almost don't want it. Like, I'd take it, but I don't want it. You know what I mean? Something like, oh, okay, well, yeah, but it's a distraction. So when you're working on a computer, you need everything to be not distracting. That's why OS X works so well. Apple iOS works so well. It's not distracting. Windows it's complicated, right? But if you have a notch, it's just another thing to sort of look at. It takes up it sort of taints the user interface design of the OS X system. On the phone, I guess, you know, what do we have here? We have you know, we have the notch on the phone. Let me just bring the brightness down for you guys. We have the notch on the phone, and that's cool, isn't it? Like, it's okay, but it does kind of, I mean, it's okay because it's like a phone and it's more like an item that you use as a practical item. But a laptop, I just think that it's sort of like so PC, not politically correct. It's so Windows. Windows laptops have had like notches and big webcams that swivel and all sorts of ugly stuff. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think the notch was worth it for that extra real estate? I don't think so.
And it looks great in dark mode, which our pro
needs
users
to be dark
love.
mode. You need to have a black
Altogether,
toolbar.
it's a fantastic user experience.
I think 60 is enough for like professional video editing because you can deliver content in 60 frames per second, but nothing in 120. I guess for experience. But this is a pro machine. So, you know, they could have just taken they could have toned that one down a bit. Not to say like, you know, obviously stuff everything into a machine, but maybe they could have spent less time on the pro motion display situation and worked out the terrible design that the whole laptop's encased in.
Make tasks like scrolling through.
By the way, I'm not really hating too much on all this. I'm just giving a point of view that is my honest opinion. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and you know, yeah, it's cool. They did well. They did well. But look, honestly, when you're doing color grading and stuff, you don't actually need a very bright screen. So they're kind of playing around with the wording a little bit here. I would say it's really good for outdoor use. You know, the good thing about laptops is that you can take it outside, you can edit, you can just flip it open and go for it. That's why the M1's amazing. The battery life's so good, and I can just open it up and smash out like half an hour's worth of work with my mates around, and they're doing a bit of work, and actually like power through something, getting the energy from my friends, you know, like, oh, I'm working with my friends, you know, it's like working in a library. You see people studying and you need to get it done. But the screen brightness doesn't help you color grade better. From what I know, it's about the contrast ratios and how well the colors are replicated, you know, like on the screen. But it's more than that. It's more just about having just a decent screen, really, to color grade on and to edit photos. But they're sort of putting it out there like it's going to change the way you color grade from the brightness, which is not really that true. Right. So it's like a unit. Okay. So yeah, I've got like an 8 GB NVIDIA RTX 2060S, which is like awesome. Still, I think it's, going to perform better than these like small little integrated chips. You've got like a full-on chip with heat sinks and fans and everything. But it's interesting that they can use the memory as unified, and it kind of all comes together, and like you need more GPU, so it'll take from the RAM, and then you've got SSD memory swap, so it all works together. It's pretty it's pretty genius, really, that Apple's managed to mix it all together. I guess software will determine the performance. Like people who actually are professionals, I know there's a lot of professionals on the channel in all sorts of fields, music, photography, video, there's lecturers, there's coders, there's programmers, there's a few people that in the comments have sort of let me know what their professions are. And, I think most of us would know that this kind of power or these kind of statistics aren't really that valuable to us, because, we need to really have real world use, and no one edits 30 streams at once. World power. All right. Whatever I said bad about it, anything that, all my other videos, they're all complete. They're not true. Go out and get the M1 Max. Get the M1 Max. Get it now. I want to get it now. I'm going to turn this live stream off and just empty out my banks and all my life savings and buy like 20 of these machines. Wait a second. Oh, the advertising. Yes, it got to me. Hope it doesn't get to you. It's pretty good though. They did a mad job.
You'd have to be reckless.
You see? Reckless. It's like you go into the Apple store and it's like, I'm just thinking about getting a MacBook Pro for my I'm starting a video company, and I'm just learning how to take photos, and then just want to get the MacBook Pro, just the base model M1 should be fine. I saw this guy called Tim on YouTube, and he reckons that the M1 Air is just fine. And then you look across and you see all these new machines, XDR liquid displays, maxed out memory, maxed out CPU, maxed out performance, maxed out notch, maxed out screen size, and you're like, just give me the max. Just give me the max. I want to buy the max. I'm just going to buy the max. I'm going to max it. I'm going to max out my credit card. I'm going to max out my savings. I'm just maxing out right now. Let's get maxed. Let's max up. I guess you have to get vaxxed up before you go into the Apple shop. Let's get vaxxed up, then maxed up. Let's go get the max. Give me the max. That's, you know what I mean? Like, no. You have to be reckless to get this. Yes, don't be reckless. Think about your process, your purchase. Think about think about what you need it for. Let's just have a think first. Let's stop the live event. Stop. Okay. Are we good? We're good. What it will be good for is I've DJed for like 10 years, right? And I use my laptop for Serato and Ableton, Tractor, all these different programs. And, sometimes it starts to lag up with those old 2010 machines and stuff. But what's cool is, the M1 will be fine. That's the thing. But, if you're like a full-on pro doing massive gigs and stuff, and you just got like unlimited money, yeah, you just like buy the 14-inch, spec it out to like 8 terabytes of SSD and like 64 gigs of RAM and all of that. That's cool. It's cool to know that option's available. And for all the 1%ers out there, enjoy it. But for all of us, let's be reasonable. Hopefully that the stream gets through to some people, and you don't go out and rush and buy the M1 Pro, the M1 Max. Save your money. So yeah, I reckon, just to wrap it up, the summary is the notch is looking terrible. The design of the chassis looks really crap. The performance gains I don't think are going to be that good. But on the upside, you've got yourself a super fast, reliable machine that's built on architecture from the M1 that is proven. It works really well. it's expensive. So yeah, if you're rich and you got money and you don't mind the notch, get it. But I think I'll be keeping my M1 Pro. It's good. I just hate the touch bar. Jesus Christ, couldn't they have just got rid of that? Everything else would have been fine. Appreciate you guys hanging out, and yeah, don't get the M1 Pro, or the Max. Save your money. Take care. Stay safe. One love. Peace.